Today I am just gonna, pull out all the stops, expose myself, I think, in a way, in a term, I guess, for who I am, what I stand for, and, why am I here on the air with you every Monday? And why is this important? Hey, do you want to build a stronger family, create a better life? Well, that's what Divorce with Heart is all about. It's a show where I guide you along your divorce and co-parenting journey using the heart's wisdom, intuition, and legal expertise. So sit back, take a deep breath, relax. My name is Gina DiPrima. Let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon. I guess that depends on where you are in the world. So for me, it's 1 o'clock Eastern time here in Buffalo, New York. It's a beautiful Monday again. And today on Inflow Radio, it's episode 14. And wow, I just can't believe it. 14 episodes already. It's just so cool. It's been so long and I'm just loving it. And I hope that you're loving it too. If you were with me before, you may have heard some of the earlier podcasts that I did when I was just on my own before I had Inflow Radio's support. And those were much shorter, not an hour long, just little podcasts. They weren't regular. And it was really just my first attempt at really exposing myself to the world, being seen and really coming to terms with me and who I am and what my point and purpose is here on earth and, just how I can best serve and be here for all of you. So that was like my very first go at it. And now here we are, 14 episodes later on Inflow Radio. And I know I've been asking all of you to participate in the Facebook group, the Divorce with Heart Facebook group, and, introduce yourself, let me know who you are, what's going on in your life. And, part of that was because I felt like you were all really getting to know me through these episodes. And then it occurred to me over this past weekend and a few times earlier in the week when I was talking with a colleague and another girlfriend of mine, and we started just talking about work and what do you do and kind of just generally about this show and the podcast. And I said, what I do. And it occurred to me that their only understanding of me and what I'm doing is me as a lawyer, me as a family law divorce attorney, which is great. That's awesome. I'm so glad, to even have people even notice me and, acknowledge that and know that and be interested because, anything good comes in partnership, right? So, but I realized that something was missing. And here I am, asking all of you to, let's share our experiences with each other. And I realized that maybe I haven't really shared enough about me. Maybe you don't really know me quite enough yet. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Today, I am just going to, pull out all the stops, expose myself, I think, in a way, in a term, I guess, for who I am, what I stand for, and, why am I here on the air with you every Monday? And why is this important? Okay. So I hope you'll stick with me. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to come out. Anyone that follows my regular Facebook profile knows that, as usual, I spent my entire weekend in 100-degree weather at a ball field. So I really wasn't able to put together any real formal organization or structure for this show. But let's see where we get. So, as I stated, the most obvious is yes, my name's Gina DiPrima, and I am a family and divorce attorney. And I, believe it or not, I've been practicing in that area of the law almost exclusively for 14 years, almost 15 years here in New York. And it's been great. And I love it. I love being there, able to really help families address their problems, their family problems, the real meaningful issues that happen in our lives usually all come from family. So I love the opportunity to serve and be there and help people to reach agreements or see maybe where they are arguing or where maybe there's some conflict that just doesn't need to be there, to try to help people step outside of their situation and move them in a different direction toward a better resolution and an agreement that's best for the kids. So you could see I'm very much a child-centered attorney, and throughout the years, I've represented countless children as well. And again, I've always taken great pleasure in that. And, I got to feeling at a point in my legal career, even though I loved the opportunity, I loved being there to serve and help my clients through, some of their most vulnerable, painful points in life, there was something really missing for me. And what that was is that as I would sit across the desk and have women just bearing their soul to me with tears in their eyes, sometimes bruises on their faces, certainly bruises on their hearts, scars of the pain, or in sometimes just the utter shock, of, I can't even believe I'm sitting here talking to you right now because I didn't see this coming. As I was in these experiences, I would feel more and more the experiences of my clients. And of course, they're not just women, men as well. Men who would come before me and be just heartbroken and devastated because they thought that they were doing everything right. They just couldn't understand what in the world would drive their wife to want to end the marriage. They were working hard. They're supporting them. They're supporting the children. They're doing everything they can. And yes, they're not home a lot, but from their point of view and perspective, oftentimes they're loving their family in that way. And they will sit before me shocked, confused, hurt. So it's across the board, the pain that we as humans feel when we go through heartache. Women feel it, men feel it. We have different, perhaps, experiences and ways of looking at it from an intellectual level, but the level of the pain is deep. And yes, of course, children feel it. So as I'm practicing, over these years, I'm knowing my clients more and more. I'm seeing them. I'm with them. I'm standing with them. And by the way, I'm feeling all of their pain. I'm knowing what they're going through. And the reason why I'm feeling that is because I'm an empath. And when you're an empath, it's just kind of like, you have another sense and it's really tuned in, right? It works really good. Like some people, their sense of sight is perfect, 20/20 and better, and they can be pilots and they never have to worry about anything, right? Some people, it's their sense of hearing. They can just pick out that perfect pitch. So it's a different sense. And what it means is that I can key in to other people's energy, their emotions, their thoughts, their experiences, and I can feel it as though it's my own on a very deep level, even though I'm sort of at the same time seeing it as it's their experience and not mine. Although sometimes that part's tricky. It's tricky to separate. At any rate, because I have this level of sensitivity, I was getting very discouraged in my practice as a lawyer. And I was getting discouraged because I felt as though the law and what I was doing to help these mothers and fathers and children, it was good. There were good outcomes. There's agreements. People are happy. They're smiling. But I felt like something was missing, like it wasn't good enough. Like in some instances, some events, some people, not all certainly, but some, I just felt like even when my representation was over, I didn't do enough because I knew how much their heart was still aching. And I could feel how much their self-worth was destroyed. And I could feel that even though we were done with the court experience, I could feel their sense of powerlessness, that, okay, life's going to go on, but now what? I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know where I am anymore. I don't know how I fit into this new picture, right? Like I could feel that on a very deep level. And I felt terrible because I felt as though, I know that there's a way around this and that there's a better way to help people that are struggling and suffering in this way. That really it's what it is that people that are suffering and feel lost and confused and overwhelmed and almost, like I said, powerless, not knowing their worth. And really that's it. And just not knowing and identifying with their true self, their true sense of being and why they're here in this earth. Not knowing that about themselves, it like it's a secret to themselves, that in and of itself was causing pain. And I just knew that like if I could help people heal and get back to this sense of knowing who they are, their true value, if I could help people to have confidence again, if I could help people to feel good again about themselves, about life, about their kids, about their circumstances, right? Then that would be fulfilling, right? That would be awesome. And I had this awareness a long time ago, but I'm going to tell you, I didn't even start to come out with it. I didn't start to come out with it. And what I mean is to share it with you, share it with my clients, share it with other people, attorneys for a long, long, long time. It's been baby steps because for me, this is very, very scary. For me, this is opening up a doorway to something new. And that is a very scary place to be because it's a place of vulnerability. And I realize that the parallel for you listening, if you're going through a divorce or in a relationship, you're having problems, it's very similar. I think there are very much parallels to how you might feel when you are struggling with the decision to leave or not to leave. When you're in that spot can be so scary. That spot can be a place where you're going to feel so vulnerable. And why? Because you don't know what the future is going to look like. We know what the past looks like. We know the trials and tribulations we've been through. We know what the arguments sound like. We know what it feels like, right? We know what the power struggles are. We know how to, at times, reach agreements. We know how to just, maybe it's the silent treatment, right? We know how long those things are going to last because we know the relationship that we've had and where we've been and where we or you are in that moment. But what you don't know is if you are to make a decision to walk out of that relationship, what will tomorrow look like? And that is scary. And that is a vulnerable place to be. And the reason why I say it's a parallel is because for me in my life, it's not a contemplation of, am I going to get a divorce? And yes, I'm married. But it's this scary, risky place of, am I going to show the world, show my clients this other side of me? And it's scary. And it's a place of vulnerability because I don't know how people will react, right? There's a certain sense of woo-woo here, which is completely polar opposite of what anyone would think when they think of, oh, you're a lawyer, right? Completely opposite. So, of course, I've got the thoughts of, will I be ridiculed? Right? Will I be judged? How will I be judged? How will this affect my family? How will this affect me financially? How will it impact my life? And for you, when you're at those crossroads as well, and again, when I say crossroads, I don't even mean for a second that this is just a one moment in time. Your crossroads could last a few years. Mine certainly have, right? So, I guess they're wide crossroads. But the point is that when you are there at that place, you can grab onto what life was like before, and the unknown and the future is scary as all hell. You don't know how you're going to support yourself. You don't know how you are going to feed your children, pay for their private school, afford to keep them in all of their activities. You don't know if your soon-to-be ex-husband will stay in the picture, if he'll stick around for the kids, if he'll leave. You don't know if there's another woman, how she's going to relate to your kids. Will your kids, like her more? I mean, there's so many different layers, right? And with each one of those layers is this huge question mark of unknown and fear. And that's why people can stay at this crossroads for years. And that's also why, even when you may not be the one that made the decision to make the appointment and go see the lawyer and see the lawyer for the first time. Maybe it's the other party that made that decision. Most of the time, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, I suppose, maybe people would disagree, but I really believe that most of the time, the other party, that party being left, was in those crossroads as well. Maybe for just as long, but that other party that's being left just didn't want to take that step forward. Just the fear was holding them back. They did not want to take that step forward, and the other spouse, for whatever reason, took the leap, right? Now, of course, there's exceptions to that where somebody is just completely stunned, and I had mentioned that earlier. That happens. Of course, that happens as well, and that's in a whole different kind of trauma and fear of the unknown. But so that's how what I'm doing here is kind of a parallel to that. And that's also why I'm sharing this with you, because it's my hope that when I can, kind of expose myself, right, and show you that we can be vulnerable and we can be raw and we can make decisions that are aligned with what's right for us just because it's part of you and your purpose and your path, that it's okay and that you will be supported. And that even though that future is scary and unknown, that it will benefit you and support you and be for something that is meant for your highest good and your highest purpose. Okay? I really hope that this is kind of making sense to you, I guess. So where was I in my story? Right. So I started off as a lawyer, and let me back up. People say, well, why did you become a lawyer? Or how did you get into family law? And I think I skipped over that. It's kind of sad, but interesting when I look at it. I became a lawyer, not because I was like, I had other lawyers in my family or thought that being a lawyer would just be the best thing in the world. I don't know. I actually became a lawyer because I said to myself, well, what else am I going to do? Like, I actually thought that I had no other skills. Isn't that kind of sad? I mean, when I look back at it now, it's sad, but I can also see what the purpose was in it. And just like over these last 14, almost 15 years, I've been satisfied with the work I've done. I felt for a long time something was missing. Well, that really, in hindsight, was the same experience I had with everything else I ever did in life. Because everything I ever put my mind to, educationally, professionally, work-wise, I succeeded in. Law wasn't my first career. First I went to school. I got a degree in psychology. I started getting a degree in criminal justice. Then I went on to law school, but I did all these different things. I went to a lot of different schools. I went to the Art Institute in Pittsburgh, and my very first career was in the music business. And that was a blast. I loved it. That was my number one goal. But I left for the same reason that I was, discussing here in my thoughts about the law, is that something was missing. The problem is I didn't have the awareness then to know what that something was. I just said, I'm going to, do something different. And I don't know, more education in law school seemed like the logical choice. Here we are now. I know what was missing. And what was missing is that I need to integrate this other side of myself with what I do on the outside in representing people and helping people, or just in what I do professionally. And so it's like bringing the inside and having that meet what I do in the outside and in the world. And that's very much also what I hope to convey now through these podcasts and working with people, even one-on-one, is that you have the ability and the power within you to change your current circumstances, which then, i.e., will then be your future circumstances. You have the power and the ability to change these things. You just need to know that the change needs to start from the inside. And it has to start from the inside. And if you can get to the inside and your inside roots and your relationship patterns and your true inner soul, and you can address what has been, causing you pain or triggering you, and you can start to change that around, your outside will change dramatically. So when you're at those crossroads, no matter how long you've been there, right, know that your future that you're afraid of, you have the power and the ability to positively influence it and create it. Now, you can't do it alone. Well, I don't want to say can't. You can do it alone. That's not true. You can do it alone. But to get the most healing and the deepest levels of healing, you need a partner. And it's only when you go very deep that you can start to really pick the weeds and create something more beautiful in the future. So I want to take a quick break, and we'll continue talking about this. And if you do have any questions, or you want to share a story with me, please give me a call. We are live today, and I hope to talk to you soon. Hey there, it's Gina. If you like what you hear, did you know that you can get even deeper and closer to your heart's wisdom and receive personal one-on-one guidance by working with me virtually? If you're sick of drowning in frustration and overwhelm and ready to flow through your divorce and co-parenting challenges, then go to my website and book a call with me. That's deprima.com. DEPRIMA law.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at DePrima Law. Talk to you soon. I know some of you have questions about your partnership, marriage, or co-parenting situation. I'm here for you. Give me a call in today's live episode by dialing the U.S. number 1-760-456-7277. That's 1-760-456-7277. Talk to you soon. Okay, we're back. Thanks for sticking with me here today. And I think I was just about to get into, changing our outer world and our outer experience by looking at our inner world. I just want to jump back again. Wow, I feel like I'm all over the place. I hope you're following. to just another thing too that I think is important for you to know about me, and that's okay, sure, I became a lawyer, but how did I get into this whole family law business? Like, why am I even dealing with families? And that's important for you to know too, and I think I've mentioned it before at times, but the reality is that that's my background. That's my personal background. That's, where I was born and raised. I'm a kid of divorce. An adult kid of divorce. And I'm an adult kid of a divorce that happened I don't know, in the 80s, I think. If I had to think about it, I'm not going to do the math at the top of my head. But, if you know anything about what it was like back then, it was a very, very different world. Today, in the world of divorce, things are a little more equal, not 100%, but certainly things are starting to level out in terms of men and their rights and recognizing men as equal to women in terms of parenting and custody roles. That has kind of started to stabilize and equalize, which is a wonderful thing to see. But back, when my parents were divorcing, that was not the case. And we had law guardians just like we do now here in New York, but the function was very, very different. And the whole world, I think, back then was very, very different. So if you can imagine, it was a very, very contentious divorce that lasted, I want to say, years. And in fact, the consequences and the remnants of it are still felt today by me, my brothers, and even grandchildren. So I just want you to understand that I have this experience on a very personal level as that child of divorce, which I think also helps in representing children. And it helps me to be able to explain to you how your children are likely feeling and what they're experiencing and things that would be good for you to do and maybe things that aren't so good for you to do. Because even though it's a lot of this might seem like common sense when you hear it, it's so hard to have that knowledge and awareness of even common sense, right? When you're in the midst of pain and heartache, because we just don't think rationally. We just don't think logically. So it's like you might need to hear the same advice that you might be giving to your girlfriend if you were not the one experiencing the heartache. It's just the way that it goes. So I just wanted you to also know that I've had that personal experience as the child, so I can really get into and see how children are feeling. I can know how the parents are feeling. I was the oldest child, right? So that's all part of it. And what I have been able to learn through my life experience is that the heartache and the pain is inevitable. Okay. And I actually posted this on Facebook, I think. It's inevitable. People change, experiences change, circumstances change, right? And that's something that we have to start to learn to understand and eventually accept in order to begin to start taking steps forward. But staying in the pain, continuing the arguing, continuing the same dynamics that you had in the marriage and carrying that forward into your co-parenting life after the marriage, there's no reason to do it. There's just no reason to do it. And even if you're not co-parenting, there's a super good possibility that some of those patterns that you've established in your relationship are going to be repeated again in your next relationship. And the reason being is because if you don't take the opportunity that you're being given here, and I am calling divorce an opportunity. It's an opportunity to heal. If you don't take that opportunity to heal, then you will likely continue to operate on autopilot, throughout the rest of your life. Throughout your relationship with your soon-to-be ex, or your ex is going to continue, and you're going to just repeat, for lack of a better word, the same old crap, the same old contention, the same old arguments, right? Or if you're right in the middle of going through it, if you can't start to heal, what's going to happen is your litigation is just going to be stretched out. This is where you're going to start to see that you're going to spend your life savings on attorneys. where the battles and the arguments just don't end, where the battles or the arguments become over things that are maybe not even that significant, like bakeware, okay, or motor oil, or what's another one I experienced? Patio fans, okay, or window box fans. I'm not making this up. Okay, this is true. This is real. And I hope that you can, come to your own examples of this. But this is what happens. Okay, so this is the cost of not looking at your divorce or your position or where you're at right now in your relationship and your heartache as an opportunity and as a doorway to heal and change. And that's the way that I look at it. And that is what I have since discovered, right? This whole inner me, bringing it to the outer world. This is what I am here for, to help you understand this philosophy, to understand this philosophy and to begin to implement it and practice it so you can put it into your life and your daily life so you can heal and grow and be happy and strong and confident. And what I like to call, in a nutshell, what sort of encapsulates what I'm thinking in my mind is like a warrior of peace. That's what it's all about. And I have this vision that as each one of us can, heal our own wounds, then we affect others and others and others and others. And that's how we help to raise the vibration and heal the planet and heal all of us here on Earth. It's like spreading the love. I know it sounds hokey, it sounds hippie, it sounds sick, whatever. I know that, but I believe it. And I'm here telling you that this is what I think is possible. This is the possibility I see. And that is my why. That is why I'm here on the air with you. That is why I have now developed this program that I call Divorce Intelligence. And that is why I am now trying to not only help people in the legal sense, right, and help them to get these agreements, but this is why I am now trying to bring my skills as an empath, let's call it my level of sensitivity. I'm trying to use it here to help you to heal your hearts. And most importantly, then, to help you know that you have the power to, create and be and have anything it is that you want. You just need to know how to do it. And that's what my Divorce Intelligence program is all about. Now that you understand the why of it, it's about helping you see your situation, as I stated, as an opportunity, as a doorway to heal, to help you see that, you're here at this place in your life because when we experience heartache and pain, it takes us directly to the deepest level of those wounds. And what I mean is this, when you will feel sadness or you will feel angry or you will feel frustrated out of something that maybe just happened, okay? And I mean, I don't mean like just somebody cutting you off in the street, okay? I'm talking about something a little deeper than that, a little heavier than that. But when you feel that, and that's what happens when we're in relationship with somebody, when our heart breaks, when we're in a relationship with somebody and it's not working out to our expectations and things happen that upset us, I'm talking about that kind of pain. When we feel that kind of pain, oftentimes the root of that pain is deeper than the current situation. So that's why the divorce and the heartbreak that you're experiencing is an opportunity, because without it, you don't have the chance to feel that pain, to wake up and to know, what is this? Where does it come from? Let's follow the trail. Let's see where it is and let's erase it. Let's pull it. Let's cleanse it and clear it out of our lives, right? I hope this is making sense. It's hard for me to explain. I'm seeing it as visuals, but if you're just happy, floating along and everything's great and you never experience any kind of tribulation, right? Then you have no opportunity to grow. You become stagnant. It's when you are challenged. It's when you start to experience some heavy emotions, okay, or somewhat negative emotions, that you can start to have that opportunity to look at the real roots of those emotions and then to start clearing them. And oftentimes the roots of them happen in our childhood, but I'll tell you that it is possible for them to go even deeper than that. You might be carrying some kind of karma influence. Maybe you knew your soon-to-be ex-husband in a different, life or something, okay? You might be carrying around some ancestral baggage. You don't know, but it's there and it stays with us. And so that is also what the divorce intelligence is about. It's about getting really, really deep into those wounds. So it's about dealing with the present sense of anger and sadness and frustration and overwhelm and loss of self-worth, and getting deep and clearing that out on a very, very deep energetic level, so that then you can either get rid of that old pattern, old theme, the old way of being, and transform the energy and be and become and have something different, something that's rooted in peace and compassion and love and, good qualities. Because if you're good in the inside and you have peace in the inside, you're going to have peace in the outside. If you in the inside are always consumed with deep despair and sadness, and you're sitting at your desk crying, or you're not sleeping at night, and, or you're constantly in the state of frustration and stress or argument, the phone rings or you get a text and your heart stops, and it stops because you're angry. Okay. If you're in that, then you're at war in the inside of yourself, right? There's like a war going on in the inside. You're not at peace. And so your world isn't going to reflect that. Your outside is not going to reflect that. So that's what we do in divorce intelligence, is we get real deep into the roots of what's going on, and then try to build what I call kind of like more of these traits of the warrior, right? Which, what do I think is important here? Acceptance, courage, confidence, worth, all of this stuff. I've talked about it before. And in fact, I think I have a freebie for that if you wanted to sign up on the email list that talks all about being a warrior of peace. And it's real easy to do. You just have to go to my show page on Inflow Radio, and there's a button there where you can go on and get the freebie. So just by signing up on the email list. So check that out, because I really get into a little more detail there. But acceptance, in my view, is one of the first things, although I don't consider this to be like a linear type process, but it's one of the first things, one of the most essential things that you need in order to begin to move forward. And I don't even mean begin to take an actual physical step forward. It could be a toe, right? You could tiptoe forward. But what I really mean is that you've got to wrap your head around it, right? You've got to wrap your head around where you are, wrap your heart around where you are. And when you do that, you've really got to take on a different vision of the circumstance. Begin to see it differently. Because if you can begin to see it differently, or even that possibility that maybe where you are right now is really, truly exactly where you're meant to be, because everything you experience in your life is designed by you, by you, for you. Like you wouldn't do this. Your God wouldn't do this unless there's a good reason and a good purpose in it for you. We can't always see what that goodness is. Just like when you're watching a movie and things are happening, you can't always tell in that moment, why something happens. But after you finish the movie and you can look back and you can see almost, if you took the writer's perspective, like, how they put together that script, and who knew what was going to happen and when or how. Only the writers, right? Well, it's like the same thing I feel like in life. Okay. So we don't always know why things are happening. But if you can begin to believe what I'm saying, that it maybe, even just maybe, where you are right now and what you're feeling right now is actually meant for your highest good. It's meant to push you forward. It's meant to help you grow and evolve. And it's meant to help you heal. If you can even begin to open your heart and your mind to those ideas, then you can begin to see it differently and find acceptance. And, without acceptance, there's a quote, and I know I'm going to batch it up and I can't even recall exactly who said it, but it was like, if you can't accept reality, then, what is it? It's basically like reality will get you. I just envision it like, if you can't accept the reality, then reality is going to eat you up, right? Something like that. I knew I would batch it up, but you get the idea. And that's the point. So without acceptance, what happens is you're in this constant battle state inside again that I mentioned a minute ago, right? Without acceptance, you're like tied to the past. You're tied to the what ifs and the broken promises and the letdowns without acceptance. Without acceptance, you're more likely in this space of complete head spin and pain, because this is where your head will so easily play tricks on you. It'll so easily keep replaying all of the memories, all of the conversations, all of the things that you might sit there and say, why didn't I see this before? Like those kind of things. You'll have a memory of something and say to yourself, I'm so stupid, right? I should have known. Or what about, what I'm trying to just really say is that what happens when you're crying at night or overindulging in ice cream or not sleeping. You're replaying in your mind all of the things that piss you off, and you're replaying in your mind all the things that happened that made you sad, and you're replaying in your mind some of the good and telling yourself how you'll never have it again, right? Or how will you ever have it again? And then you're working yourself up into all of these fears then, and all of these thoughts of how you're going to be alone. How will you survive? How will your kids make it? Are you screwing up your kids? How can you be a good mom, right? All of these things are happening. And they're happening in part, because there's not acceptance. There's not acceptance of where you are, and an awareness or understanding that has to go with it, that where you are is okay. That where you are is okay. That where you are is meant to be for you, that it's meant to be for your children. And now, it's up to you. You can take this opportunity and use it as an opportunity to say, this is it. I am going to get to the root of this. I do want to heal this. I do want to stop fighting. I do want to stop arguing. I do want to have a good co-parenting relationship. I do want peace. I do want love. I do want partnership again. I want to trust again. I want to feel good about myself again, right? This is where it's up to you. And if you want those things, you can have those things. But the first step to get to the future is that you need to accept where you are now so that you can begin to let go of the past. Okay? And once you can do that, things will happen, right? Like your ex or your soon-to-be ex might still be a jerk. They might still try to engage with you. They might still try to fight you. They might still be exactly the person that they were. They may not change. Okay? They may not change. Nothing may change on their end, right? But what will change is their impact on you. What will change is how you feel when they do whatever they do. When they say, whatever they say, when they show you their colors, when they act the same way, what's going to change is that it's not going to necessarily trigger you in the same way. So you'll be able to then look at the situation and really kind of just rise above it, soar above it, almost feel like you're taking this bird's eye, eagle eye view where you can see what's happening, but your heart's going to stay whole. And you're going to stay grounded and centered in peace and love because you would have had that level of acceptance. It's such an essential step to moving forward. Okay? I want to always say it's kind of the first step, but there's a danger in saying that. I don't believe that these steps, and when I do the divorce intelligence, it's not, like I said, it's not linear. It's not like I'm going to tell you, well, this is step 1, and then you do step 1, and then you have to go to step 2, and then after step 2, step 3. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about building a different center. Okay? I'm talking about, like I said, igniting that warrior spirit. I'm talking about bringing you back to the place where you really, truly know yourself, confident, courageous, you have acceptance, you can create your life, you know the power you have, you're being, an awesome parent to your kids, right? You're setting a great example, you're happy. That's what I'm talking about. And I do it by, like 10 modules. You've got to have modules in some structure, but a lot of this is really deep healing work, energetic work, where I am going to, tap into your source, your higher self, your sense of God, and together get at and clear where some of the pain is. And in doing so, the idea is then you will be able to do it, that you will wake up, that you will feel it, that you will feel the possibilities. So it's not a process where we go, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. It's unique. It's individual. It has to be done in partnership. It can be done in a group, right? Because all deep levels of healing happen when we're in partnership or in relationship with somebody else. And it's a real simple reason for that, I believe, because you can't go very deep and heal and make long, life-lasting, everlasting change, like real true transformation. You can't do that on your own. And the reality is you can make a little bit of transformation on your own. You can make some change, but you know what? It's going to be more surface level stuff. Because to get really deep, you've got to really look deeply at yourself. You got to look deeply into your soul. You got to look deeply at what you've done, who you've been, and who you are. And quite frankly, that's a hard thing to do on your own because it's kind of hard to see your own shit, right? There's a certain level of, I hope I could say that. There's a certain level of resistance there. Nobody wants to see things that don't feel good, that make us feel upset, maybe even guilty, disappointed in ourselves even. Nobody wants to see that. So there's this level of resistance. And that is just one reason why I believe partnership is so important. Partnership is where you can have somebody support you and help you and hold you up, right? And help you to see the things that you would not otherwise see, that you would turn away from if you were on your own. And that's what I offer through divorce intelligence. And I hope that this is making sense. I hope through this exposure here, you're able to say, wow, I really get it now. Like, I get it. I get who she is. I get, why she's doing what she's doing. And I hope that, you're inspired. I hope you're inspired to see that what you are given here, it's not, just a disaster. It's not just a disaster. It's an opportunity. It's a doorway to heal. It's a chance for you to, reset your life. Get back to your real roots, your real sense of you, of who you truly are, and start to live your days and your moments, because they're all you got. That's it. We're done, right? We're only here once. Start to live them in a way that's aligned to your truest joy and happiness, right? And I just want you to do it for you. And if you have kids, I want you to do it for your kids. And I want you to, if you don't have kids, you still do it for you, because you know what? Again, you're going to change your insides and your outsides are going to change. And so when you're doing it for you, you might be helping your neighbor. And that's just how we're all connected. That's another episode. I don't want to get into that rabbit hole, but I hope you've learned something here today. I hope it's resonated with you. And I hope in listening to this, you can be brave and expose yourself and be vulnerable and share in Facebook. Let me know what's going on with you. Now, you're not going to get the deep level of healing that I'm talking about here just by participating in Facebook groups, whether it's mine or any other. I know there's a lot of great ones out there on Facebook, and don't get me wrong, it's helpful. Okay. And it is healing. Okay. But again, you're only really going to get the real deep level of healing, the kind that's going to last a lifetime or eons even, right? Because we get real deep at these roots. You're only going to get that in working directly in partnership with somebody, because you need to be connected. You need to have that space held. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And the same thing really is true with counseling. I'm a huge advocate of counseling, and I think you should do it. Do it if you need it, but keep that in mind. It's a different, there's a different goal. There's a different purpose there. And sometimes things just are, kind of like recycled in counseling instead of cleansed and removed and transformed. So keep those things in mind. And if you're interested in exploring this, or you're interested in exploring conscious uncoupling with me, which is a wonderful, wonderful process. I've had a couple episodes on that. And to be honest, I think conscious uncoupling is a great first step, especially if you are, in that area, that long, wide crossroads area where you're not sure, do you stay or do you go? Conscious uncoupling is awesome. Awesome, because that will really help you to come to terms with that decision, and then it'll set you up perfectly to take your next steps in the best way possible. And then divorce intelligence is a great way to follow that. And divorce intelligence is not something that is only meant if you're going through divorce. You could be going through a separation. You could have already been divorced years ago or separated years ago. You could have never even been married, because some people don't get married. But, the pain is real and the pain is the same. So I just call it divorce intelligence, not to be restrictive. It's more to simplify it. And that's a process that you can do at any time at all that you are ready to get in and really heal. So if you're interested, I invite you to go to my website, Doorway to Heal, www.doorwaytoheal.com, and let's talk. Schedule a call with me. There is an application. I'll tell you that now, because I can't accept everybody. Don't have the availability in my schedule to accept everybody. And also, like I said, it's a partnership. And in your healing, I'm healing. So there has to be a synergy there. But I invite you to take a look at that and know that I am here for you. I say that every week. Reach out to me. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear how this is impacting you. And if you enjoy it, please go to iTunes, leave me a rating or a review, because that's how we spread the word and change the dynamic of divorce. Thank you so much. See you next week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Come back next week and be sure to visit my website at dpremalaw.com to book a call, or let's connect on Facebook at dpremalaw, where you can join my group for more support. Please remember that the information shared is for general and entertainment purposes only, and that by calling in or messaging me, we are not creating an attorney-client relationship, and my advice is not intended to be legal advice. For specific legal advice, please contact a lawyer in your jurisdiction.
This show is brought to you by InflowRadio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.